Hey everyone, Elijah here, back with another video. Have you ever felt burnt out or tilted or like you're not having fun playing the game? Well, you might have fallen for one of the classic OSRS traps. Today we're talking about traps and mistakes that all of us fall for, and what you can do to avoid them. If you learn anything in this video that helps you, please leave a like and comment, let me know about it. Alright, before we get into it today, I just want to say thank you so much for helping me reach 3,000 subscribers. I never expected to hit this so quickly. I really appreciate your support. If you like what I'm doing, consider subscribing, as 90% of my viewers are not subscribed. And you'd want to be subscribed, because to show you as a token of my appreciation, I'll be giving away a bond for each 1,000 subs I have, so 3 bonds in total. And the winner of the last bond here is collecting their bond. They wanted the bond on the Hardcore Iron Man instead, so I bonded up their new Hardcore. Wish them best of luck on their journey. So to be eligible to enter, just make sure you're subscribed, leave a like and a comment, and I'll roll the winners in the next video. So, many of us have been playing this game for a while. I know I sure have. But I think there are some universal mistakes that players make often, and many don't even notice. And surprise, surprise, they're often mental barriers or ways of thought that trap us into making these mistakes and doing things in the game that leave us feeling annoyed, burnt out, or disinterested. You want to stick through to the last one? I know it's got me and quite a few of my friends many times over the years. The first mistake people make: not setting goals. Ever come back to the game and feel like the entire game is flowing out in front of you and it's just too much, so you don't really know what to do, so you don't really do anything and log off? Or maybe you play for a few days and you remember doing some skilling that you were doing before you quit, or Vorkath or something like that. So you go back to that, but you don't really know why you're doing it, so you lose interest and log off. You don't feel like logging in again. This is because you have no goals, no direction. Imagine entering a marathon, but you don't know the track, the finishing line, and everyone else in the race has started at different times to you, so you have no sense of what direction is right or anything. That's basically what it's like in RuneScape if you don't set goals. You won't know where to head or what to do. Now, these goals can be super personal, and my best piece of advice is to break it down into smaller chunks. Instead of maxing as a goal, have that set as a long-term goal, but have the goal of, I want to get 3 mining levels this week. Or instead of going, I want to make 1 billion GP doing PVM, set the goal of, I want to get 100 Vorkath KC this week. It doesn't matter if you make a lot of money or get a drop, but you can always aim for the KC of the boss. Setting these goals and personalizing it will make it a lot easier to find things that work for you and find goals that you find interesting, rather than just aiming for goals that require thousands of hours. Don't do dailies. This one might be a bit controversial, because I know many people suggest doing dailies, and on paper they're really good. Your Nightmare Zone herb boxes, battle staffs, doing herb runs, and bird's nests can certainly give good XP and good money, so I'm not saying don't do them at all, but don't do them if you don't feel like doing it. I remember in the early stages of my account, where it basically felt like, because of how much I was working in real life, the few hours I got to play the game each day, I'd pretty much just log in, do my farm runs, do my dailies, and had hardly any time to actually play the game, doing PVM or Slayer, the content I enjoy doing. So while I'm not saying never do dailies or never do birdhouse runs, just do it if you feel like it. Instead of interrupting your current Slayer task or PVM trip to go do another birdhouse run, just do it tomorrow when you log in, instead of doing it on the hour every hour. If you're doing dailies when you feel like doing it, rather than making it a chore, you're doing it right. Number 3, focusing too much on GP. Now I know what you're going to say. This, of course, comes from a perspective of hindsight, and well, it's easy for you to talk about not worrying about money. You have plenty. You're not worried about getting a bond next week. And while this is true, when I first started, I didn't. I remember seeing players in full bandos with an SGS and being able to easily afford prayer potions and cannonballs while I had nothing but an Abbey whip and a fighter torso. So I grinded Zulrah. Lots and lots of Zulrah. This is back when Zulrah was like the only moneymaker around. Vorkath wasn't in the game yet. And I basically did nothing but kill Zulrah every time I logged in. For weeks. So I could save up 150 mil, buy my Bando set with the Primordials and the SGS for Slayer. But as I explained in my Unraveling Max Hits video, which if you haven't seen I highly recommend checking out, gear especially doesn't matter anywhere near as much as you think it does. All those gear upgrades and grinding I did probably made my Slayer journey 2% faster, and it took me weeks to get there. You can do nearly as much DPS for 1/100th the cost of best in slot or higher priced gear. Spend your time playing your account and getting stats and XP. Don't make the same mistake I did and put your account on hold to grind money until you're completely burnt out of the game and can't even enjoy the bank you've built. That being said, if you are looking for some money making methods for all tiers, if you're looking to grab a bond or just move to that next upgrade or get some gold for chin chompers or something like that so you can level up your stats, checking out my money making guide here. I made a whole bunch of different money making methods for every tier of the game, so I guarantee there's something there that you can sink your teeth into. Number 4, focusing too much on maxing. This also applies to achievement diaries. I think people put too much focus on those as well. I will probably cover that in a future video. But focusing on such a massive goal like maxing is a huge undertaking. Many people list the time taken to efficiently max as about 1200 to 1500 hours, but in reality, especially if it's your first ever account, you don't have ults to funnel gear. You don't have the knowledge to max efficiently. You're not gonna do the 3-tick more intense methods. It's probably going to take you closer to 3,000 to 5,000 hours to max your account. So setting such a massive goal for yourself before you even really start is a bit insane. Okay, yes, I set myself this goal when I was level 30 combat, that I would max and prove little kid me that it could be done, and I would have one of the big max capes and be a god tier gamer. But I also burnt myself out about 5 or 6 times along the way and quit the game for like 6 to 8 months each time. So it's better to focus on what you enjoy doing rather than maxing. No one enjoys grinding 99 agility on rooftops for 400 hours. It's just a grind we go through. And trust me, the max cape, and I'll get to this as well in another video like I said, but the diaries are nowhere near as good as you think they are. Pre-maxing, I thought the max cape was the most OP best cape in the game ever, and I would always use it everywhere at every boss all the time. I don't. I've been maxed for a while. Trust me, it doesn't get used anywhere near as much as you think. 90% of the time I just use this as a house tab and teleport to my POH, which has all the other teleports in it. That's pretty much all I actually use it for. The, Inferno max cape and the other max capes are purely cosmetic. They have the exact same stats as the normal max capes. I know this is a misconception some newer players have, but the Inferno max cape doesn't also have all the perks attached to it. It's just purely a cosmetic thing. So trust me, you don't need it. It's not as good as you think. Number 5, burning out on grinds you hate. Instead of forcing yourself to grind an elite diary or grind mining to get a skill cape and hating the game every time you log in because that grind is just sitting in front of you and you force yourself to do it, just take breaks. Find other things that you enjoy, that you want to try. Maybe try a different skill out, maybe try a different boss, maybe go into the wilderness and try some content there, or if you're trying to grind stats, maybe just try a different method. Instead of sitting there trying to do drop mining iron all the time, maybe go give blast mining a go, or volcanic mine. And there might be things that you enjoy that you just haven't tried yet. Grinding out all the hard diary unlocks simply because you want it to look green when you don't actually enjoy the grind is a good way to make yourself not like the game and unsubscribe. Just take breaks and do what you enjoy. Number 6, beating yourself up about your own progress. Now, this one's a tricky one to sort of nail down exactly what I'm saying, but if you've ever had the feeling where you look at the wiki and see an XP rate or a boss kill rate per hour, and then you try and do it for an hour and you don't achieve that rate, even if it's only by a little bit, if the wiki says 55k and you get 50k, you kind of feel like you fell short and you should have done better. This is a massive trap. I know I personally have fallen to this plenty of times and gone, I've got a few hours tonight to AFK on the side while I get other bits and pieces done, or maybe watch Netflix, but after 3 hours I look at my total XP and it's only 120k when it should be closer to 165k, so you feel disheartened because you felt short of your goal. But I think this is a trap. You should look at it the other way. You just gained 120k XP. That's a lot. If you did that every day, you'd be 99 fishing in no time. And keep in mind that all XP you gain is moving ever closer to never having to get XP in that skill ever again. It's not only 120k XP, that's 120k XP closer to the 99 finishing line. And no one is going to know after you get your skill cape. No one's going to care how you got that XP or how slow or fast it took you once you've got it. Number 7, focusing too much on efficient methods. If you enjoy drop mining iron and you want to do that all the way to 99, go for it. If you want to do MLM, do that. XP is XP. Who cares how long it takes to get there? Now, I'm not saying don't do efficient method. If you love 3-tick 4 granite, go for it. I didn't do too much tick manipulation on my maxing journey, but for some reason, I really enjoyed 3-tick chins. I just found it more comfortable and somehow easier than normal chins. The rhythm just felt good. But if you burn out and can't be asked after 25 minutes of 3-tick, but you could happily cut logs AFK for 4 hours, guess which one's going to give you the best XP overall? It can actually be more efficient to do less efficient methods if that's something that engages you, or you can do that for a longer period of time. Like, who cares about 3-tick chinchompas if you can only do it for 10 minutes before you can't be bothered playing RuneScape for the next week? If you could do normal chinchompas the normal way for 2 days straight, then you're going to get way more XP. And like I said, no one cares once you have the cape. Do you know how I train my mining? Because I promise I wasn't doing 3-tick 4 granite. Number 8, focusing too much on Graceful. Now, before all the Iron Men get at me, I will add the caveat that this doesn't apply to Iron Men. For them, this is insane. But for most other players, I think Graceful is super overrated. I've leveled quite a few accounts, and I got Graceful in the first few, but I think Graceful is often not quite as useful as people think. Graceful doesn't actually make your run energy drain slower or regenerate while you're running. It only regenerates when you're walking. So for the most part, getting a spottier cape and boots of lightness that gives you minus 9 kilos of reduction is nearly half as good as Graceful's minus 25. However, it takes 2 seconds to buy a cape, use a knife, and get your boots of lightness. While it takes hours to grind from 40 to 60 agility at Canifus, the best way to get Marks of Grace, to get your Graceful set. And you can easily just sip an extra stam dose in most situations as a main and make it completely irrelevant. I have had many friends want to try the game and learn. They need to get their Graceful cape and get very bored or quit or claim RuneScape as a boring game because you need to get so many items before you can quote-unquote actually play the game. Also, see Wintertodd for Hardcore Iron Man. I think thankfully this mentality has shifted. I know most new Hardcore Iron Men don't bother doing the 99 farming Wintertodd grind because it's definitely not worth the mental burnout. But next time you're questing, just bring 1 to 2 stamina potions instead of Graceful. You'll see what I mean. It's not that big a deal. And since we talk so much about Iron Man, this next point. Choosing a game mode you enjoy. Iron Man mode might not be for you. You might watch your favorite streamer play it and it seems like fun, but actually grinding that much for a single item, especially when you go dry, just might not be fun for you. You might wish that you could just buy the item and move on to something else. Or maybe you're a main and grinding Vorkath for hours and trapping yourself into just doing good money makers might demotivate you to play. Whereas while playing an Iron Man and changing it up and doing different content and tracing drops for the drop rather than for money might be better for you. It's personal for everyone. Know what you're like, what you prefer, and pick the game mode that suits you. Being anti-plugin. Now, I've met many players like this before in other games, especially in World of Warcraft, players who say, I don't need weak auras or boss mods, I can do it without that. It's basically cheating. Except it's not. It never has been, and there's a reason why everyone uses them, even the best players. It makes your cognitive bandwidth able to handle more, or it makes otherwise intense methods more chill. Look at Herbivore. This would be a super focused, more intense training method without the plugin. But with the plugin, it turns to a nice relaxing method you can do while watching Netflix or YouTube. Being scared of the wilderness. This one, I almost certainly will make a video on later because at certain combat brackets, you should 100% feel the right to be scared of the wilderness. With a small bank and lower stats, there are certain PK builds that can just 100% kill you that you basically can't escape from. But there's a lot of really good money-making methods, skilling methods, and other content in the wilderness that can be really beneficial to do, and I know the risk is death, but just make sure that you're not taking too much risk that you're worried about losing, and you can probably make more money or experience doing stuff in the wilderness than you would lose from that death anyway. Do quests. I know almost for a fact that you've heard this one before, but trust me, as I explained in a previous video, these stats from an account I started playing a couple weeks ago are brand new, and almost all of this is from quests. Just buy some stand pots, some teleports, turn on the quest helper plugin from the plugin hub, switch your brain off and do some quests. I'd also recommend anytime you need a stat requirement for a quest, just look up the quest XP sheet here, I'll leave a link in the description, that will tell you what quests give you XP rewards, and just see if you can do any of those quests to knock off the requirement for the current quest you want to do. Learn one boss mechanic at a time. I think a lot of people beat themselves up for watching a guide, and his guide being quite intuitive, but then attempting the new content themselves and not instantly getting it the first go. Or you can be like me and try to rush through a boss, purely try to eat and DPS my way through, ignoring mechanics, just to try and get my first KC. I remember it took many tries when I was first learning Zora back with base 70s, however, learning boss mechanics is a much better way to go. You don't need to rush to learn all the mechanics at once. As an ex-mythic WoW raider, you'll kill bosses far better and more consistently when the team is just trying to focus on learning one or two things per attempt. Instead of going into Vorkarth and trying to remember every single little tip and advanced mechanic from all the videos, trying to Wooks walk on your very first attempt, just go in with one or two mechanics. Try to remember those, then tally out and go in again, and try and learn the next mechanic. And keep going until you feel more confident, then give it a go. It's the same in any raid. When you're learning COX or TOA, instead of trying to memorize every layout and room and method all before you ever set foot inside the instance, just learn Baba and practice doing her mechanics a bit. And then once you feel confident, just reset and try Zebak. Repeat as many times as you need, and don't feel disheartened or that you failed because you didn't nail the boss first time round. Everyone learns at a different pace. And lastly, it's a bit of a cheesy one, but have fun. Take breaks from the game when you don't feel like playing. There's a really good way of burning out, and it's logging in when you just don't feel like logging in. If you want to go play a different game or just take a break altogether, don't feel like you're going to miss out on XP gains. You're going to make yourself hate the game, and there's no point playing it if that's how you feel. This runs through a lot of other points I've made in this video, but don't do methods because you feel like you have to, or grind money because you feel like you have to. Just do things you find fun. Take breaks from current grinds and go find something new to do. I really appreciate you watching. If there's something you learned in this video that helped you, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to put your RSN in the comments so I know to enter you for the giveaway. I also appreciate if you guys give me some help for some ideas for the next video. I want to try doing some budget bossing with your bank setups so that you can see maybe some different changes or suggestions I would make for content or gear that you currently have. So if you have a current bank or a setup at a current boss and that you think could use improvement, leave it in a comment and I'll collect a few and then put it into another video. Thanks for watching.